Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be working on a lace peekaboo using foils. So we're going to start off by prepping and spray painting our tumbler. I just used a red spray paint from Rustoleom, and once that's completely dry, we're going to go in with Aleene's Tack-It and apply that with a paintbrush. Once you've got all of that glue smoothed out, you'll go in with a heat gun. This is optional. This just speeds up the process, but once that's smoothed out, I just hit it with my heat gun until the glue has turned clear. Don't overdo it or your glue will bubble up and you'll be able to see that through the foil that you end up laying down. We're gonna go in with this red foil flake from Woods Goodies, I'm not really sure how to say it. You'll notice that my glue has turned clear. That means that it's ready to have something applied to it. And I just go in and rub it with my finger until it's smooth. I kind of held back when I first started laying this foil down. I just sprinkled it a little bit. And you'll notice as this tutorial goes on that I just kind of toss it on the cup. You really could start out just sprinkling it everywhere and rubbing it in. It was super easy to do. It does make a mess, so I would suggest using a glove, and I don't know why I didn't to begin with, but if you don't, your hands will look like mine when they're done. But we're gonna go through and apply one coat, and we'll go back in and immediately after this apply a second coat of the Tack-It and then a second coat of the foils, just to make sure we're not letting any of that spray paint peek through. Okay, so now that we've got full coverage with the foils on this cup, I just went in with a single coat of Mr. Nola's Speed Dry. It's a super thick formula, so it only took one coat. This foil is super thin, the flakes are thin, and I rubbed it till it was smooth, so we didn't really need a ton of coverage with the epoxy, so one coat was plenty. You really just need to determine how thick your epoxy is to decide if you need 1 or 2 coats to make it smooth. Once my epoxy was fully cured, I went in with this lace SVG that I found on Etsy. I will link that in the description box. And I used regular Oracle 651 vinyl instead of the stencil vinyl. This is a super intricate design. I didn't want to take any chances on my paint bleeding through. I really feel like I don't get the most secure coverage, I guess I would say, with the stencil vinyl. Sometimes I have bleeding when I spray paint over it. So for this one, I decided to use regular vinyl instead of the stencil vinyl, just to make sure that I had a good end result with the paint. And just a quick hack, I've used this lace SVG a ton of times, and it took me forever to realize that it is way easier to cut off the end pieces where the seams meet and manually apply them to match up, because this doesn't always line up exactly on your cup. It's way easier to just cut those pieces off and then hand place them once you lay the rest of it down. So don't be like me. Do that to begin with and your life will be much easier. Once the stencil was applied, I went through and I trimmed the top pieces. I usually overcut this by probably about 1/8 of an inch, just to make sure that the stencil reaches the very top of the cup. I've had it shorted before and it just looks super odd. So once that's laid, I immediately go in with spray paint and I let that sit overnight. It was about 12 hours before I started peeling that stencil. You definitely don't have to wait that long, but I just went to bed and came back to it the next morning. So I am going through with my X-Acto knife and just peeling it off. This is a super tedious process. It's going to take you forever if you use this regular 651 vinyl. It's a lot quicker with the stencil. It pulls up a lot easier, but I've noticed that the lines aren't as crisp with the stencil vinyl as it is with the vinyl. It just lifts a little bit. So do what you think's right for you. Just be prepared. It usually takes probably 30 to 45 minutes to do this weeding process if you're using this regular 651 vinyl. So now that our weeding is finished, I'm just going in with one more final coat of the Mr. Nola Speed Dry. I only needed 2 coats in total, so that's a win for me. Let me know what you thought in the comments. If you would like to recreate this tumbler, I would love to see it. I do have a private makers group on Facebook. It's called Mitten Makers. I will link that in the description box below as well. I do have discount codes there. I post behind the scenes. I go live, do unboxings, things like that. So go ahead and join that, and I will see you next Saturday.